Okay. Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you for this beautiful summer day you've given to us. We thank you for all the blessings you give us each and every day. Thank you for protecting all of our employees and also the construction workers that are in our city working this summer. We just ask that you guide us tonight during this meeting and give everyone a safe trip home. Amen. Okay, we have a quorum tonight. The next item on our agenda is comments by citizens, and you're limited to 3 minutes. Now is the time. If you want to comment on anything that is listed on the agenda, now is the time for you to comment. After we start the business meeting, we will go through the items on the business meeting. It is a public meeting, but not a public hearing. So that's why the comments by citizens is the time for anyone that's here to stand and talk about anything you want to talk about here on the agenda, or if it's not on the agenda. So.
Sorry if I lead off.
Yeah, you state your name, please.
Zach Graball.
Okay.
Can I sit here? Sure. Okay. Sorry, it's my first time.
It's fine.
Oh, where's your is this the camera right here?
Yes.
For the YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to start off, it's not addressing you guys per se, but it's the citizens that live here. It's our duty to be here right now. The city council can only do so much. It's almost like marriage. The citizens and the city council should be one flesh, working together to solve problems and create solutions for issues, not to just bitch and complain on Facebook or Twitter or whatever have you. So I'm glad to be here. And what I want to talk about today is flock surveillance cameras. And kudos to whoever chopped them down. However, I wish you wouldn't have, because I wish that whoever introduced them, I think, I don't know, maybe you guys can elaborate on how those got put in without a vote or anything like that. Who I am a South Adams graduate of 2013. I was born here, raised here in Berne. I now reside in Decatur, but I still care for my hometown. I own a business here, the Berne Mattress Company. And I just want to talk about how during COVID, could you imagine if we had flock safety cameras? Well, flock surveillance cameras, because I never got the vaccine. And in the service, I was segregated from my fellow soldiers. I was treated very poorly. I was pulled into offices by leadership and cursed out. I mean, I was told I was nothing. And these are the same people I had just done missions for or volunteered for. It was just, I was treated like I was a traitor just because I didn't want to stab a vaccine into my body that was not tested. I don't think the government's ever done anything per se to help American citizens, so why would I take a vaccine? And after dealing with the Army, it was just very apparent it was not good for me. And now it's come to light with Dr. Fauci pleading the fifth about 100 times. It was not good. But I don't feel the need that I should be warrantlessly surveilled, all my movements, and then that put into a database and, I don't know, making groups if I'm a threat or whatever. I just want to talk about my daily routine. I'm not a criminal. I go home, I see my wife, I play some Xbox with my friends, then I go to work, sell some mattresses. I may go to the gym if I want to get in shape. That comes and goes. But yeah, I just don't understand how, without a vote or even telling the public about them, they just appeared out of nowhere. And I don't think that, is that what we want to do to our public, is to surveil them and kill morale? You know, everywhere you go, you got to watch what you say or do. You can't be yourself. You're just surveilled constantly. What else did I have on here? So I want to ask, I guess, council, are you guys allowed to respond? If I ask you a question or not?
It's comments.
It's just pure comments. So
Okay, comments.
Okay, gotcha. But I do not want any compromise on this issue. I want all flock safety or surveillance removed. I want any similar devices out of our town. As far as police, I talked to Tim Taylor. It was a week ago. I just got back from Alaska. And on Kodiak Island, where I was at, there wasn't one flock camera. Everyone got along, fished with the bears, hung out. It was great. It was very limited government there. It was beautiful. But I just want these devices out of my town, out of this county, out of my country. And I'd really appreciate if you guys could figure that out. And I know you can. So thank you for your time. Kelly, you've been wonderful on getting the word out to be here. So citizens, whether you're watching this today, in a week, or a year from now, it's your duty to be here and to hold these elected representatives accountable. Thank you for your time.
Ken Swickard, I've lived here since 2019. I generally don't come to these meetings, but I do have concerns with the flock. I have a background in law enforcement, airborne law enforcement, so I'm familiar with police work and surveillance. And a lot of people don't really understand what flock really is. I've had several people think they're, speed cameras and whatnot, but they're really just surveillance cameras is what they are. And I don't know if most people, surprisingly, don't know what fusion centers are. I know you know what fusion center is. Yeah, sure. But most people don't. And they don't understand how these cameras work and what they're actually doing. And I would tell anyone here to just go in and check out the flock cameras and see what they're doing. Because they don't do what you think they do. And as far as, the police counting on, well, is that going to somehow cripple law enforcement? No, I don't think so. There's been numerous misuses of them, obviously. You can check out all those for yourself. And flock, they bill themselves as a safety, and they say on their website, safety is a fundamental right. Well, no, that's not true, really. The Fourth Amendment is a right, okay? And what these systems are doing, okay, is they're tracking someone's movement all the time, okay? Whether you realize it or not, that's what they're doing, okay? And that's precisely what the Fourth Amendment is put in place for. Basically, the Fourth Amendment protects you against the whole of your movement as the courts have determined. So, and many of these cameras are they're not what people think they are. And I would urge every one of you to actually educate yourself on what these things are. And if you haven't figured out by now, they're pretty unpopular. There's a lot of people who are coming out against them for obvious reasons, okay? That's all I ask is you find out what a fusion center is and just do your research, so you find out what these cameras are. And I know here in Berne, I'm sure you guys probably just are tapping off of the county's cameras. I don't know if you have the contract with them or not directly, or you're just tapping off theirs in the county. But anyway, I just ask you to check it out. And ultimately, I think you have to realize that, we all live in Berne, right? So whether we need that kind of surveillance or not, if you need that kind of surveillance, you'd have to justify it to me, because I just don't see that. It's not really going to necessarily keep you safe. And thank you for your time.
Okay, anybody else?
Hi.
Just come up to the chair and sit, please.
My name is Hannah Beck. I have lived in Berne or around Berne since 2011. I am a South Adams graduate. I have started a family and continue to raise a family here in Berne, and I have seen a lot of discourse, obviously on social media, about the nuisance board. While I understand the nuisance board, what I don't understand is the need to essentially vilify citizens. I see people speaking on the fact that the people that are put into these, they're elderly or they're sick, but we're not considering people that are raising families. We're not considering people that are spending their entire day at work, coming home, and then cooking dinner for their children, trying to spend as much time with their children, homework, what have you. I think personally, if you are going to take pictures of people's homes and send them in and again, vilify these citizens, tell them that you can't put up with it, that you don't want to deal with their yard, that you don't want to see it, that maybe you should take the time to go up to that door and act like a Berne citizen. Ask somebody, what can I do to help you? What are you needing? Do you need help? I went through a time, 6 months, had my first child. My husband was the one bringing in all the income, and so he worked long hours. He would come home, he was tired. We had a child to raise, and my yard was essentially unmanageable. I looked at it, and I could not fathom going out there, and I couldn't fathom asking my husband to go out there. I'm 28 years old. I had my child at 22. My husband's only 3 years older than I am. We're young. We should have had the time. We should have had the energy, and we did not. We're also taking into consideration our elderly, our sick. Everybody's dealing with something. But I think that maybe we just need to be neighborly. We're not being neighborly anymore. We're not acting like a city that cares for each other, no matter how often we want to say it or how often, you can have your parades, you can have your stuff, but if you're not going and asking your neighbors, what can I do to help you? Taking them dinner, doing their yard work, you see something, you go up there, ask them, what can I do? That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
I'm Abby Langman. I just wanted to thank the committee for their work on this nuisance ordinance that you're coming up to. I know there's been a lot of talk and just a lot of nasty stuff going on. And what you're doing by considering putting in the addition of having it in the line of sight really brings the nuisance back to the neighborhoods. I think we need a nuisance committee. Any town does. We're trying to grow economically. We're trying to bring families in. And I believe we need a nuisance committee. However, I believe we've gotten out of line and that this ordinance you're working on will just help us refocus on what our purpose is for the nuisance committee and how to best go about that. So I just wanted to thank you for your consideration of this change that you're going to talk about later.
Next.
I'm Reed McBride. I'm from neighboring Wells County, but I'm in Adams County often for my work day, things like that. My concerns as well are with flock cameras. A lot of times it gets brought up about law enforcement. It seems like the ball stops with law enforcement, and law enforcement, I think, many times are responsible with the tool. Everybody likes to talk about it for every, most cops are good. There's some bad ones, and those are the people that may be abusing this thing. For me, it goes a bit further. Who actually is getting the data? A lot of times it's presented as like, that all this goes away in your local department after 30 days. That's wonderful. Or what things do they have access to with their contract, things of that nature. However, my problem lies a bit further with the company that actually provide the contracts, things like that. They're keeping everything, anything that these cameras are capable of. the data associated with them, that's all accessible at all times and potentially may be accessed by law enforcement at a later date if they ask nicely from the company they have the contract with. That's a problem for me. Another thing that people like to say is, cell phones, things of that nature. Obviously, the argument to that would be, I willingly purchase my cell phone and I willingly carry it with me. I can get rid of that at any time. I did not vote for this level of surveillance in my local community. I would rather do without it. Safety is very important to me. I take that, I take that seriously myself. I provide whatever safety I can for myself, and it's nice to have a police force in that way to help me with anything that may be beyond my control. However, I did zero preparation for this, but I just showed up and felt compelled to speak on that, just because, the other thing is, I would look at the demographics on this issue, the demographics, who actually understands things. I think people from my generation are staunchly opposed to this by and large. People on both sides of the aisle, I can consider myself right-wing. But many people from the left, I've never seen a more unifying issue in this country personally in my 28 years. And I think it just comes from a deeper level of the understanding of this technology, based on, I grew up watching VHS tapes, then moved to DVDs. Now I have a cell phone. I've seen wall phones. I grew up with all that. So I've seen the progression of that and understand that you all have as well, at even a deeper level. So that's my main concern there. People talk about Google and they're tracking your data as well. My argument to that would be, this is actually something very tangible in real time before we build another Google that is tracking everything all the time. Just another database that controls you as a civilization as a whole. Why this is a tangible thing. We can nip this.
Sorry, sir, 3 minutes is up.
Good with me. Thank you.
Next.
Should I mention the street closure now or?
No, that's at the end of the meeting, Bracken. Sorry.
No problem.
Anyone else have comments they want to make? Okay. We'll move on to the regular portion of our meeting. And the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our August 10th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 10th Berne City Council meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes from August 10th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next item is approval of claims and payroll.
Motion to approve the claims and payroll as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Rod. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kelly. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, our next item is adoption of nuisance ordinance 797. And if that's adopted, then adoption of resolution 2026-8-1. So, we can open up the ordinance 797 for further discussion. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 797 as it's presented.
Comment. I apologize for not being present last week as I was attending to some personal family business. But I've had a lot of time now to digest this and think about it. And I appreciate the fact that we're trying to hone in a bit an ordinance that was, golly, that ordinance is how old?
2 years.
Well, the nuisance committee is 2 years, but we've had an ordinance
We've
for
updated that.
a nuisance
We've had a
ordinance
nuisance
for
ordinance
many years.
Yeah.
And it was updated, but it wasn't horribly updated. So a lot of this has been in existence for a lot of years. The committee itself, however, is 2 years, a little bit over 2 years old. And it's still trying to find its own legs. It's trying to find its own way and trying to respond to the needs of the community, as well as serve the purpose that was intended by the government structure. I think it needed some honing in. However, I think we went from one extreme to the opposite extreme. And the line of vision item that we are putting in the ordinance is of concern to me. I think, as the comment was made tonight, we need to be focused mostly on concerns from a neighborhood, not allowing anybody to go out and take pictures. We have a system in place for pictures to be taken by staff only once a concern is voiced. But I think it needs to be a little wider than the line of vision. So I'm probably going to vote no in favor of a little bit further study on exactly how best to implement this strategy, considering the concerns of the community that we represent and concerns that we've heard expressed before today, and the support that was expressed tonight. And thank you for those comments.
I'd just like to share that I feel like the line of vision is important because it does give consideration to the folks that feel like they're being surveilled, basically. And it's not just members of the nuisance committee that have gone out into the community and reported, nuisances that they feel like are nuisances. And so I think, out of respect for the citizens of the community, we already have in place that city council members, city employees, members of the nuisance committee can all report nuisances that they observe, as well as, and this happened last week, someone called me, and a nuisance that wasn't in their line of sight, she asked me to go take a look at. And she had her concerns. And I could see why it was a problem, and I did file that on her behalf, even though it wasn't in her line of sight. So it does provide an option for people to contact someone on city council or city employees, while I feel that the line of sight does give some protections to the people of the community who have been very upset by some of the things that have happened.
And I know that's the position that this ordinance is now taking, and I understand where it's coming from. I just respectfully disagree. I think it can be revised a little bit wider than where we are.
I think like
I'm not
expand
exact,
it to
that's
a
the
district.
problem. I'm not exact, within the district, somehow identifying within the neighborhood, but at least within the district. If there's people that are walking in their own neighborhood and they have a concern to share, I think they should be able to voice that as well. They don't have a line of sight. I'm thinking of a couple properties that I know of that this would not allow me to present a concern based on that, other than I'm a council member and I could bring anybody's concern. So I think it needs to be a little wider, yet not as unleashed as the previous. But Curtis, I haven't identified
just
what the parameters of that are.
I get it. How do you make a zone?
I think it deserves a little bit more study.
So Roger, your point or question, if we wait 2 weeks and we have something better, then we'll discuss something different? I mean, because at the last meeting, we talked about the fact that this was a change to try and make the process that we implemented 2 years ago better.
And I was at the meeting that sent it to last meeting, but I wasn't at last meeting.
So I feel like we're taking steps to make it better with how we presented it. And even at the nuisance review board meeting, I mentioned when we talked about this, if we implement this and we come up with a better mousetrap 2 months from now, we can reintroduce the ordinance with
Sure.
some changes to it.
Yeah, that can happen anytime.
So, I mean, if we have something, I mean, I'm okay waiting.
The fact that anybody outside of line of vision can still submit a concern to one of us, to one of the nuisance board members, to the city itself, to the police, to other employees, does appease a good bit of that. But it still seems very focused.
And back from a historical perspective, we brought this up at the last meeting, when Kelly made the recommendation that we add the line of sight, and she made a motion, you know, I was the one that went ahead and seconded the motion with wanting more dialogue and discussion on it.
Understood.
And also to make sure the changes that we did end up implementing, with the nuisance review board members still being able to submit nuisance complaint forms on behalf of someone, city council. So I wouldn't have been in favor of it if we didn't add that to it. So I guess we're headed in a better direction than what we currently were.
And I agree.
And what I would say, going back 2 years before the iteration of the nuisance ordinance was implemented, with the changes in adding the nuisance review board, we've come light years from where we were, because there's now at least a process for someone to submit a complaint if they feel like they want it addressed. And I mean, I think we talked about this 2 years ago. Some of what we put in with the nuisance review board was to try and help avoid some, you know, Hatfield and McCoy situations where neighbors were battling one another with no body really to come in and help intervene and mediate. So, I mean, that's definitely an improvement of where we used to be.
And I'd like to acknowledge the works of the nuisance committee in those 2 years. Every single one of you have done a great job in bringing some change to properties that have needed to be addressed. I think there's been a lot of positive and very favorable outcomes from those meetings, and I thank you for that. And there's more to do.
I'd just remind everybody that, like all of our ordinances, this is a living document. I think since I've been city attorney, this is the 5th time we've made a change to our nuisance ordinance. So, yeah.
He's 6, 7, and 8. Somewhere along the
Most
line.
likely.
Maybe sooner than later.
Yeah, there you go. Gotta see what works and what doesn't.
No matter how I vote, I will walk out of here singing the same song.
Any other comment from?
Well, Ron, would you want, I mean, I know you said you're gonna vote no matter probably what, but I mean, like Rod said, Ron. So, it's a step in the right direction, and there are caveats for people to, you know, outside of the line of sight to submit. If we were to pass it now, should we have the nuisance board discuss? I don't know how to broaden that range, if that's possible. I don't even know how you do that.
I guess what I would interject to your one point, the nuisance review board was put in place to administer whatever ordinance we put in place. We can take input from the nuisance review board, which we have, but it's really up to us as elected officials to decide what the ordinance is.
How they operate.
And then that's what the nuisance review board is to deal with.
Agreed. And I realize if it passes tonight, as I expect it will, that's okay. I'll go out, like I said, and there may be a change coming in the future. I felt I needed to share my thoughts.
Anyone else?
My concern with that is for the folks who are very upset that they feel like they've seen people looking at their properties, driving by their properties, And I just think that the line of sight gives a good balance.
Well, the
Consider-
intention was not to create vigilante.
I know that, but it has, and that's my concern. I think hopefully this will help rein it in just a little bit and have a better representation of the entire community.
And for clarification, the only pictures that are to be taken of property is by our staff. Only. We don't even take pictures of
This
property.
change
It's
was
just,
that.
That's actually a key change that we did discuss and add, that photographs will be taken by city employees strictly for the use at a nuisance review board meeting. No other reasons. So once this is in place, if Kelly accepts a complaint form or Cal or whoever, and there's a picture with it, my suggestion would be hand the picture back to the individual and say, thank you, but we will take the official documentation. You didn't need to do that.
And shouldn't have.
And, yeah,
and if they turn it in early on, with a picture, things can change before the actual meeting. So it's just best if we take it before the meeting. Well, if there are no other comments at this point, I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 797 as it's written.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, we have 797 is adopted 4-1. In favor?
We don't want
Okay, we'll
Yes, I'm no longer there.
excuse us. We're gonna proceed with the meeting. Thanks. The next item on the agenda is resolution 2026-8-1, which is discussion and setting term limits on citizen members of the nuisance review board.
So in the ordinance that you just passed, that you just adopted, one of the provisions was that citizen members would have a 2-year term. We didn't have terms before. It just said that the mayor appoints those 2 citizen members. So what you have in front of you is an enabling resolution. The other thing that the ordinance says is those 2-year terms should be staggered. And so what this enabling resolution does is and I gave you 2 options, but there might be more options than 2. But in order to stagger those terms, one option says that one of the present citizen members their term would be up at the end of this year. And then the other citizen member would have an additional year, and that would start the staggering. Or option two has both of the citizen members going off at the end of this year and new appointments being made. But one being a 1-year term and one being a 2-year term.
Whether it's both of them again or not.
Correct. And so those are the two options that we set out here, but like I said, there could be other options in order to do that. But you need to get that in place. And the reason why you may want to consider one or both of them, the citizen members having completed their terms, is they've served 2 years already. So anyway, so that's all I have to say about that.
So to your point, Dave, if we would go with option two, then the two current nuisance review board members would basically finish their second year, and then we would bring 2 additional on instead of having one of them serve 3 and one of them only serve 2. So they'd be treated differently if we went with option one. We'd have to pick one to stay.
Well, the mayor would.
They both can stay. This is just.
It'd be starting January 1.
It's recognizing, that option would recognize the 2 years they've both served as being complete. And then the next term starts staggered for whoever is appointed in those positions.
Which to me personally, option two seems cleaner.
That's what I think too.
This is a resolution, so it only needs to be voted on. It doesn't have to be introduced and then adopted later.
Is that a motion, Ron?
Yeah, I would make a motion that we proceed with option two as presented for resolution number 2026-8-1.
I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-8-1, option 2. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Shannon, don't sneak away till I see you tonight. Don't sneak away without me saying hi to you. I have a question.
Okay, your next item on the agenda is adoption of public records ordinance number 798. And Rod, do you have any questions since you weren't here last time?
I'm ready to approve it.
Anybody else have any comments? Okay. I will then entertain a motion to adopt public records ordinance number 798 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Curtis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rod. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you for asking there.
I like your quiver.
Okay, our next item is adoption of CCMG additional appropriation ordinance number 799. Any questions or comments regarding that ordinance? You can direct toward Calla. If there are none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 799.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Ron. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kelly. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Sign on the aye side.
Oh, did you do it?
I did.
Oh, you have it too.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Just to do that.
Just do that one.
You guys are close here. Fishing and
Scouts
prepared.
here. Are there 2 copies?
I don't know if we've dealt with this many ordinances in one meeting.
I remember this many on one day.
I don't need to sign that one. Furthermore, we've never had that many comments by citizens here.
Back to the enabling ordinance now.
Yeah. Okay, next item is adoption of the 2027 salary ordinance number 800.
And this is the staff.
Staff, yes. Any other questions or comments regarding that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 800.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Here we have a motion by Rod and a second by Curtis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next ordinance is 2027 salary ordinance number 801, which is the elected officials ordinance.
I'll make a motion we adopt ordinance number 801 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Ron. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kelly. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. The next item is discussion of fence ordinance 802. And that is, a short title, I guess, to require an improvement location permit for the erection of fences and to establish standards for the height and location of fences. And what this will help is to try to eliminate fences being constructed and that deny access to city utility, shut-off valves and so forth.
Yeah,
Go ahead, David.
the thing that started this is we've never required an improvement location permit for fences. But it's become a real problem for especially the water department that, the fence companies never really care.
Yeah.
So we had one a couple weeks ago that was right in the middle of an alley. And so this would mean that in order for them to get their permit, they're gonna have to come to Shannon. Shannon will see where it's gonna be plotted out, where it's gonna go in, and, well, because it's a structure. So that's what started this, and then we thought while we were at it, we might as well put in some of the things that we're planning to have in our zoning ordinance when it comes to fences, as to height. You don't want a 20-foot fence down, that kind of thing. And also as to what kind of fence can be in the front yard. It needs to be, it's not intentional to be front yard, for it to be a privacy fence as much as an ornamental fence, those kinds of things. You also want to make sure that it doesn't get too close to intersections that it blocks views for vehicles. So that's all in here. I think the only thing that Shannon and I were talking today, the only thing that I'd suggest, if you may want to introduce it tonight, but the one thing that we talked about today, we realized I might need to tweak on page 3, paragraph B, implement location permit required. Might need to tweak that just a little bit. We want to make sure that the fringe area has standards also, but at the same time, we don't want Shannon to have to give an improvement location permit for someone who's putting up an animal fence out in the country. So we probably will want to restrict that just to privacy fences out in the fringe area rather than all fences.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But you guys have something else? Anything additional?
Where would solid fences be permitted at?
That's their privacy.
That would be
So
considered.
in the backyard
Animals, yeah, be
or on
on
the side?
sides and backyards. We just gotta make sure, I mean, we've never had a permit for a fence, so we would call in, we always said, stay at least 1 feet off, if not 2 feet off your property. And the reason being is, if you have to maintain both sides of your fence, and you put it on the property line, you now trespass if you put it on the property line. So that's why when we were doing the ordinance, we said, make sure it's a foot in. But the solid only needs to be in that back, because if we would go up the front, I wound up going into looking at other places in the state, and they limit it to 3.5 to 4 feet in height, and it's mostly see-through, like wrought iron or things like that. So they allow that in the front. So I think Dave tied that in there pretty good for that. So. But this will help us say, if you don't know where the alley is, you need to get a hold of a surveyor and get a property line located, because we aren't gonna identify it for you. because we could be wrong, you know. But we've had too many issues where the water shut off is inside here, and they put their fence here, and then we can't shut the water off.
Not to mention that one fence company could have gone through in a utility.
Yeah, the last
Right,
one
yeah.
is actually 12 to 15 feet off their property line out in the easement, and we had a water leak inside the fence.
And it's brand new fence.
The brand new fence. And homeowners was very, very, very kind. And they said, well, we thought the fence company took care of things with the city. Well,
They didn't have to. They didn't have to because they didn't have to get a
right.
permit.
We still didn't see locates.
There was no locates called in, and I went back to the record, so we didn't, I mean, if there was locates called in on it, we would have located it out, and we would have said, you're way too far over. You know, we could have stopped it earlier than later. So,
I do have a question about the livestock fence, just from living in the country. Is there gonna be something with how many feet off of the property line it needs to be if you're in the fringe?
We don't wanna have to do a livestock fence, is what we're saying.
Well, the reason why I'm asking, because when you pull up the stop signs currently, there'll be livestock fences post in the corner, and it's hard, the vision's hard to see around them.
Well,
So take
It
that.
shouldn't be in the right of way.
Right.
No, it should be, but I think it's happening.
The
That
county right
lines.
is pretty small. And a lot of times you own to the center of the road in the county.
You do.
So that makes it even more quirky. But like I said, you can see through a cattle fence. So we're looking at, that's why I said to Dave, I really want to just make it the privacy, things that would block vision, things like that.
I need to tweak that a little bit.
Mayor, a motion appropriate?
I've got one question, Rodney, if we can. So I think the ordinance, this is something we don't have in place today. It's a step in the right direction to manage this. One thing I'm just wondering as we were discussing this, what's the existing fences, it says in here, are grandfathered or fine. What happens if someone builds a fence a month after this is in place and doesn't get the permit? Is there ramifications for that?
I see that. There should be something in
I
there.
mean, there should be a fine or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we don't have that in there.
Is there a way that you communicate to all the contractors that a permit's required, or how do people find out about that?
I think we need to put that on our website and pretty bold that there is now a signage permit established. And put that ordinance on the website too.
It's a good point.
Any other comments? Okay. Rob, entertain a motion.
Motion to introduce ordinance number 802 with the changes to section B on page 3 as discussed, and also with the addition of some kind of remedies for handling newly built fences that are out of compliance.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kelly. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Okay, next item, attorney comments. Do you have anything, Dave?
No.
That's it. Callum, do you have anything under clerk
Just
treasurer?
that I'm working on the budget and I plan on bringing that to this next council meeting to discuss.
The September
14th.
14th meeting, okay. All right, well, we're gonna start mayor comments off with Bracton, requesting, street closure, for Fall Fest of 2026, which is September 26th. And we got an email from him late in the week and didn't get it on the agenda, so we're gonna do it under mayor comments. So Braxton, do you have any information you want to share with us? It's
Yeah, I got about a 45-minute slideshow.
have at it, your twins will be happy.
This is something that city's been willing to do in the past for Berne Downtown hosting their Fall Fest. This is an annual event, and it's been very helpful. We could really use it, especially this year, because we've got about half as many vendors again as last year, over 30 vendors. And it's a modest little event, but we usually do this in Chamber parking lot and Berne Street. And in the past, we closed at 7 to 4 with additional vendors, getting everything set up. If we could close at 6 to 4 or even the night before, I don't know what's most convenient for city workers to do, but that would help us out. I'm looking at questions, but that's it in a nutshell.
Any questions for Braxton? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to, for approval of the downtown merchant, Berne Downtown Merchant Group to have Bering Street closed off for this event.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close Bering Street on September 26th from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Brian, there you go.
Thank you, appreciate it.
The only other thing I think I'll say under mayor comments is that the construction on Van Buren Street for the stormwater project and also for the sewer project continues to proceed as planned, and hopefully we don't have any more rain like we've had for a while until we get done. But at least of that magnitude. But everything seems to be going fairly well. Are there any council comments?
Just a minor one, Braxton. The front page says 10 to 3 and your other page says 6 to 4. Just
So-
an FYI.
That's just
10,
the fair lasts from 10 to 3.
Oh, the fair does. Oh, okay.
Street closure 6
We
to
have
4. So they
Street
can-
closure 6
so they
to
can
4.
set
Oh, okay.
up. So they can set up.
Gotcha.
There won't be many patrons at 6
Well, I wonder, man, that's really starting early.
Maybe at the donut shops open.
Oh, man.
Braxton, I appreciate your efforts, the Berne Downtown Merchants, to put on events like this. It's cool, and I know it's not the first one, and you guys are improving each year, so
yeah.
we appreciate it.
Well, I'm gonna deflect that to Stacy Huey and the other members of Berne Downtown. Stacy's done a lot with that, and all those members are great to work with, and like I said, it's a modest little event, but brings people downtown, and every year we hear good things about it, so glad to be a part of it.
Anything else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to
I've
adjourn.
got a couple of questions here. On the flock thing, how many flock cameras are up in Berne?
There are 2.
Just 2? Okay.
One currently.
And also on the nuisance ordinance, you talked about neighborhoods and so forth. Does the nuisance ordinance define the word neighborhood? What that means, how that's explained? That's kind of nebulous a little bit.
That's not a term that's used in the ordinance.
Okay, because it was mentioned here a couple of times, neighborhoods, you know, and that's.
It was only discussed, Eric. It was only discussed.
Okay, yeah, that's not, okay. Okay, that's it.
I'll start it again. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Sorry, I said.
Second.
Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same signs. Thank you.
Hey, Cal, how much is the CCM receive?